Hi, this is Arden Thomas, Product Manager of Cincom Smalltalk. I'm here today to talk to you about the implementation of the ProgressGrid, which I showed last month. Hopefully you saw that. If not, it's still in the digest. It's a defragmentation-inspired visualization for showing progress. So today I want to show you how it's built and show you an earlier version and go through some of the issues and problems and how to solve them. So hopefully this should be interesting and instructive. If you look at the PowerPoint here, this is basically what it looks like. We have an application called ProgressGrid App. Within that, we actually have a ProgressGrid view and a model. The view is going to be the visualization that we see of this. And the view is hooked up to the model. So when we change things in the model, we use classic model view controller and the update mechanism to notify the view that there's been changes in the model and to update them. So classic model view controller. So our application, we can tell the application that a piece of work is in progress. It tells the model that. The model notifies the view. The view says, okay, give me your latest information about what state that piece of work is in, and I'll update that. And that is basically how that works. So let's take a look at a couple things. Here's the application, the model, and the view. So we'll be running an example here where we create a new instance, give it a set of keys, change the label, and then for each key we'll say, okay, this is in progress, and then it's completed. So our model, what kind of API does it have? We can give it keys. We say, okay, if we get a set of keys, we create an identity dictionary of those keys, and then in that dictionary we put the key and the state, which the default state is waiting, and that'll show up as red. So nothing has happened for that piece of work yet. And then we say self-changed keys. Let's go take a look at the view. Now when we say this self-changed keys, updating, we say keys, it says, okay, if the keys have changed, this is what gets invoked from that update mechanism, initialize your rectangles and invalidate it. So that'll initialize our rectangles, which sets up all the rectangles. I won't go into details on that. You can explore that code if you're interested. And then ends up invoking the display on, which will display this. And what this does, this initial display on, will basically display the entire window. So it'll go through all the keys, self keys. It'll get the keys from the model. Then for each key, it'll get the rectangle. It'll get the paint color for the state that rectangle, that piece of work is in, for that key is in. It'll fill that rectangle with the color. So it'll be red if nothing's happened, or orange if it's in progress, or green if it's been completed. Then we change the graphics context, paint to black, and we draw the border around the rectangle. And that's it. So let's take a look at what that looks like and if there's any issues. So I'm going to go back to my example. I'm going to debug the example. I'm going to create a new instance and open it. Okay, there it's open. Now let's walk in with the keys here. Okay, those are my keys. I'm going to go in with the keys. Self-model keys colon. So we get the model, we hand it its keys. It creates the dictionary and populates the dictionary. And we're going to follow this. We're going to follow this up to the view. Let me step through. Self-changed. We tell my dependents. Date, and this is an interesting mechanism if you haven't seen it. Now we're up in the ProgressGrid view. So if the aspect, and let's check out the aspect is keys, and if that's true, initialize my rectangles. I'll go ahead and do that. initialize the rectangles, and now we invalidate which should draw it. And sure enough, it draws that. If the aspect was state, it would invalidate the visual here, the view, and it would draw everything. So let's back up, continue with our example. We're going to change the label to test example. There it is. And now we're going to go for each key and say in progress. Okay, so in progress, we tell the model that this key is in progress, which changes the state. So let's see what this does. It changes the state to in progress for that piece of work, and then says change. Let's see what that does. My dependence, we're going to follow this up. And here we are back in the view, and it is not keys. In fact, the aspect is state because we changed the state, and it's going to say invalidate now. And sure enough, it did that. Let's see, we should have an orange one somewhere. There it is, right there. Okay. So now let's come back to my example. And the next piece in the example is tell it completed. Now I'm just going to step over this, and sure enough, it redisplays it, and it's green. Now, so we have the basic setup and working. Let's see what happens if we go ahead and say go ahead and run this to the end. What happens? Oh, that doesn't look pretty, does it? No, that's a problem. So in the next section, we're going to talk about how do we solve that.